August 6, 2019. It's just a minute after 7 p.m. We'll begin our meeting with a Pledge of Allegiance, and I will lead that pledge. If the audience would please rise with me. Thank you. We'd like to begin our meeting also by excusing two of our council members who are out of town this evening, Councilmember Shelton and Councilmember Michael, who will rejoin us at our next meeting. If you have an agenda in front of you, the next item is 2.0, which is citizen comments. Now, citizen comments tonight will be different from public comments on a specific project. Right now I have two speaker comment cards. One is for citizen comments and the other is for public comments on the Bengal Bend Cove land use issue. So dealing with citizen comments, I'll invite Mr. Tim Halbeck to come on up. Tim.
See if this thing's really working. Right?
Nope, wrong one.
Do I push something up here? There we go. While we're waiting, I'm not saying the mayor's old or anything, but very first cruise he went on, the boarding procedure was 2x2. Very animal friendly. Yeah, thank you. All right.
But if you said I was old, you'd be correct, so it's all right. But I'm not going to return this body unused, I promise you that.
Oh, here we go. That's okay. Okay. All right.
Well, let's wait just a minute. In fairness to you, if we're using that, since we don't have an audience, and we'll maybe restart the clock for 3 minutes so that we can be fair. Yeah. Okay, so let's go. You're on.
Okay, good. Okay, so since the last meeting, I expanded greatly on the public survey of things. Instead of having 40 people on the email list, we now have about 3,800. So we got quite a bit more. We got quite much more response.
3,800 Cottonwood Heights residents?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, not everyone's participating. About 10% of those immediately said, takes me off the email list, or how did you get my email, or how did you find me, and that kind of thing. So it was kind of fun. But it's considerably more. So I put on there all the voting items from tonight. I was going to quickly just scroll through those. If you look at the TV screen, you'll see it's about the same on every subject. So everyone came, touch screen, there we go. Everyone was about 3-to-1, 4 to against, all the way down the line. So that was pretty good. The one thing I would say, what was that one was more, the surplus thing got a lot more votes for whatever reason. The biggest piece of feedback I got was, I don't know where to go on the website, or I don't know how to search on the website for all the supporting information. I had intended to put in different links, and I put in some supporting information the last go around. But there is somebody named, I'll show you what I'm talking about here. Somebody named Mr. or Mrs. Pending that owes us a bunch of work. And so I can't link those things in because when you look at this thing, oh, no, that's no good. The agenda items for the Planning Commission are the unique numbers are different than the items for our agenda for tonight, that kind of stuff, so there's no one-to-one correlation. So in order to track stuff down, you kind of have to go through the last 2 or 3 months worth of things to get in there. I didn't do that for this last time around. I'll do it for the next time around. But if we could get the stuff updated in the minutes from the supporting meetings, that'll help me put stuff in for the voting items for these meetings. that's
Thank you.
fair enough. I think that's the only thing I wanted to cover. Oh,
Paul, you might start the clock, or he may be here 15 minutes.
okay. That's right. I'll never leave. And also, I was responding to these guys over here today. It used to be when you go to a search on our website, the first 5 or 6 things were Google ads. Somebody turned that off. So now it's all local site search stuff. So good job, whoever did that.
Great.
That's it.
All right. Thank you for that feedback.
Tim, how many respondents did you have?
That one was 48 and 3, so 51, something like that.
At 10%, about?
Yeah.
A little over 10%, yeah.
Yeah. Well, 1.5% of the people who said, "Don't tell me about this," and we're voting and that kind of stuff. We had a lot more click-throughs. We
Yeah.
just didn't that many more people finished the survey.
Interesting.
But we're getting
there. And you've listened to us and know that we'll be doing some citywide surveys ourselves here later on this year, so we appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll get
Tim,
there.
Tim, thank you. All right, anyone else who would like to speak during citizen comments? We'll move to public comments in just a minute. All right, we'll move to the next item on the agenda, which is 3.0, public comments regarding the Bengal Bend Cove land use and zone map amendment. We'll turn some time over to Matt Taylor, one of our senior planners, who will introduce the subject. Welcome, Matt.
Thank you. We'll get started while they get the presentation going. This is applicant Eric Corbin, who has requested the council to consider this application.
Is Eric here tonight?
Yes, Mr. Corbin's here.
Welcome, Eric. Yeah.
It's actually 2 actions. One is a general plan amendment, and the other is a zoning map amendment. It's for property at 7683 Bengal Bend Cove. If we go to the next slide, we can see an aerial photograph. The land use amendment would amend the general plan from, sorry, I lost my place, a neighborhood commercial designation to a residential low density designation. And the proposed zoning map amendment would change the zoning from residential office to residential single family. This context map gives you the location. It's about a 1/4 mile just down Bengal Boulevard here. The reason this came before you for the public's understanding is that the property that has a law office at the front part on Bengal Avenue had a zoning right to subdivide the property into 2 lots. That was completed in April. Since then, the property owner, Frank Myler, had listed it for sale, and Mr. Corbin has contracted to purchase that property. His desire is to purchase it for residential use. One of the challenges, although residential is allowed in the RO zone, it does require additional setbacks against residential zones. So despite it being a residential use, it has increased setback, which would have forced the proposed home to be about 25 to 30 feet in width. Although home plans exist for that type of home, that wasn't desired of the applicant. He'd like to utilize that side yard for a more traditionally wide home and garage, and hence he has come forward with this application. The Planning Commission reviewed this on July 17th. The staff analysis was that it recommended approval and that it was supported generally the goals of the city. The Planning Commission agreed with that and agreed with the findings of fact in our staff report and forwarded a recommendation to the council to approve both the land use amendment and the zoning map amendment.
Any public comment at the Planning Commission?
We had one member of the public. They spoke in favor of the proposal.
Right. Any questions of Matt? I know we've discussed this previously in our work session.
And you said this lot was a little over 8,000 square feet?
The new lot.
The new lot?
Okay. All right. Thank you, Matt. Now we'll open this item up for public comment. Anyone who'd like to speak to Bengal Bend Cove land use and zone map amendment? I think, is it Bob, is it Harbrecht? What's that, you want to come on up? Oh, wow, yeah. Well, that's rare. Usually I screw it up, so it's,
Hey, all us Germans got to stick together. First of all, I would like to thank Mr. Corbin for rezoning that R1. Thank you very much. We have been highly entertained with all the storm drain stuff going in, and the only really real question we have is that at this time, do you know if you're going to be pulling down those big tall trees that are right against the south wall?
well, I think this is not a question and answer. I guess you can just make your public comment and welcome to meet with the gentleman after, yeah.
Sounds good. That's all we're concerned about.
Well, maybe what we'll do is ask him to come up and make a comment. I
Oh.
think we have time and he can address it, yeah.
Okay, yes, we get a lot of leaves in our yard.
Okay.
But we really appreciate that zoning change, and I think it'll work.
So you're supportive of this
yeah.
issue? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Great. All right. Thank you, Bob. Eric, you can make, yeah.
Thanks. So in short, yes, I intend to, I guess I'm counsel here, I intend to cut down the trees that will impact where I would be building. So within the boundaries or the envelope of building, I'd be cutting down those trees. Any trees that I can preserve and trim, I'd be glad to do that as well.
We appreciate that, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Any other
All right.
questions?
Right. No, thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
Appreciate your attendance tonight. All right, Lynn, come on up.
Lynn Kraus, District 2. I just want to say that I'm in favor of this. I was the person that commented at the Planning Commission. I think it's a great use of that property as opposed to having it neighborhood commercial.
Right. Thank you. Any further public comment on this issue? Hearing none, we'll close public comment and move to item 4.0, which is our standing quarterly reports. And the first report is our Public Works report, and we'll have our Public Works Director, Matt Shipp. Come on up, Matt, and I think we have a handout in front of us already.
Evening, Mayor and Council. Just wanted to, this is the quarter, it's been a while since I've been up here, so I got to get my council legs underneath me again.
Well, you look nice in a shirt and tie.
Well,
so,
thank you.
yeah.
I feel nice. I'm not going to make a habit out of it, though. So. Anyway, so I just want to give you a little quarterly update on where we are. First off, just want to publicly acknowledge my public works staff who did a tremendous job during the Butlerville days. They put a lot of time and energy into that, and I believe for our part, it went off very well, and I haven't heard any negatives. I have nothing but positives, but I just wanted to publicly acknowledge them and their work they've done, and also the work they've done in all this summer and driving that float to all the different parades, getting up early, staying up late, moving it from one place to another. But I think our float did fairly well. I don't know. Tim will probably cover some of that, but excuse me.
I know the Butlerville Days Committee is very happy with the Public Works personnel and the work that they do
Yeah.
and help to have that go off. It's made a huge difference.
Well, spending 2 days at the event, I would echo your sentiments and applaud their efforts. They were
Yeah.
amazing. The whole event was just
I-
outstanding, and anything like that, it takes a lot of cooperation, collaboration from public safety to public works to the rec center to everyone. But y'all play an incredible role, and that's why it was such a success. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Thank you, and pass on our thanks to them.
I will pass that along to staff. They would certainly love to hear that. Now for the good stuff. Want to give you an update on some projects that are going on. There's been we have a pretty highly public project going on down the street here, Fort Union and Highland Drive. I want to give you an update on where we are on that. There's been some questions and some comments that are going around about the project. We have had to extend it about 5 weeks due to some weather delays as well as some issues that we ran into with Rocky Mountain Power on permitting. So it kind of put us in a delay mode. And The contract, the original contract for this project was a 120-day contract. It wasn't a 60-day contract, as I've been hearing from a few residents. It actually was a 120-day contract. So we, in fact, the contract was supposed to have been done about mid-July. So we're behind schedule, obviously, but we had to add some time, give them some time for unexpected delays. If you'll recall, we had a lot of rain. We had about a 2-week delay due to rain and weather. Once it saturates the road, there's just not a lot you can do with it till it dries out. And then, like I said, some Rocky Mountain Power permitting issues got in the way. So we are back on track. I mean, as far as being on track, we have a new date of August 28th is the substantial completion date. Now, to give you a definition of substantial completion, really what that means is they have to turn over a road to us that is open. So there will still be some final punch list items being taken care of over about 2 weeks. Some of those items may include collars on utilities, doing some landscaping work or various things on the shoulders and in parkways. You may see some of that going on. There may be a lane shut down or a shoulder shut down, but the substantial completion date is August 28th. So there is a light at the end of a tunnel, and it's not a moving train coming at us. So we're pretty excited that we're getting to this point.
Those types of closures would be temporary, like
Yeah, they would be
for a day,
temporary.
they wouldn't be left in
A
place
couple
for.
of hours for the day. There wouldn't be any long-term closures as there are right now. And where we are, to bring you up to date as far as the budget, if you'll recall, you as a council a few years back budgeted our portion of the project. It was 6.77% of a roughly $4.5 million job. At the time, we budgeted the full amount of the project, and the full 6.77% was budgeted. And in doing that, the project itself came in under budget on the bid. So these changes that we're seeing along the way are not an impact to the original budget that the council has. There should not be where we have to dip into any more monies that haven't already been budgeted. So I want to kind of make that clear. There's been some questions as well. I've had some questions from residents on that also. We should not have to dip into the general budget because we've carried this money along the whole time. Okay? Give you an update on the schedule of where we are starting. I have here starting tomorrow night. I got word this morning after the meeting and after I had sent this out, but they will start Thursday night, starting the paving on the intersection. There'll be night closures. They'll start at 9 o'clock at night and work till about 5 in the morning, and they'll do the different legs of the project. These overlays go from La Cresta back a few hundred feet, and then there's going to be a gap. That's just the way the project worked out. And then from the intersection, and there's a couple of 100 feet on each side of the intersection where the overlay will take place. So it'll have a new surface, new striping, and they plan on, I believe, Friday night taking the bags off the lights. So there'll be the double turn lanes that this whole thing started out as. Right now, if you look up there's bags on the lights. So that will be going on this week, night work on the intersection. Any questions on the intersection so far?
Just one little
Yes.
note that they have the wrong color street sign up on top. It's supposed to be blue and it's still green.
That will be changed when the project is done. We kept the old sign.
Okay.
The reason it's green is because we have to follow UDOT standards, and UDOT standards do not have a blue sign. So as soon as the project is completed, you'll see a blue sign going right up. You are correct.
That's not something I identified. It's someone identified that for me.
It's been identified to me on at least 50 occasions that I can count.
And
It's amazing how people notice the brand and the identity
Yeah.
of the city. I noticed it when I first came to the city that we had blue signs because I'm used to green. And then now it's just part of the norm. So that's a commentary to
It was
the
an
brand of Cottonwood
unexpected
Heights.
benefit of having to change all of our signs to new reflectivity back in the.
Right. Yeah, the new
part
the new
last-
standard came out, so you had to correct.
But Matt, just one comment.
Yes, sir.
As someone who gets dozens of calls when things are slowing down during those wet weather springs and shortly after, it seemed like even after the wetness stopped, it seemed to still be slow. But then all of a sudden, the last 30 days, it seems like the energy is tenfold, and the progress just in recent weeks has been substantial. So we applaud this to see that movement.
Well, it's helping my ulcer a little bit as well, so I will tell you that. More updates, just to let you know, the 2018-2019 road maintenance projects that was budgeted last year have all been completed. If you've driven around the city, you'll see some roads that have new slurry seal surfaces on them. It seems to be holding up very well and functioning as planned. We put down approximately 1,500 square feet of chip seal and about 2.1 million square feet of slurry seal. So it was a busy summer, a busy fall and a busy spring and summer so far. We are putting out to bid the 2019-2020 road projects that the council approved during this last budget process. So those projects will be going out, and those will include about 3.5 million square feet of surface treatment, along with some crack sealing and some various potholing projects. And then we also have on their Scottish Drive subdivision area is slated for reconstruction through the whole subdivision. Right. So we will be getting that out to bid this in the next month, and hopefully we'll
You go
have
to
that
reconstruction, you're gonna
mill and overlay, fix curb and gutter,
any substrate. that
and
needs it.
and then fixing any ADA issues that are in there. Anytime you work on a road of this magnitude, you have to fix all ADA problems or ones that aren't there. So that will be going on. To bring you up to date on the roundabout,
Oh, wait a minute, you jumped
sorry.
over 30th East.
Oh, I apologize. Yes,
That's
30th.
a critical one for District
I know.
3 and entry into our city, yeah.
So 30th East, we have, that one also is being prepared for bid, and knock on wood, I'd like to get that done by before this fall. It's a short project. Once it's bid and going, it shouldn't be more than 4 days to finalize that. It'll be quick to mill it, put down the fabric, and then pave it. We have worked with Holiday, and is it all right to, I assume, Tim?
Yes, you can talk
Okay.
about it.
Sorry, Holiday met as a council last week and approved their budget for their portion of it. So we will be spearheading that as a city, and I believe Tim will be bringing to you an ILA, to an interlocal agreement, I apologize, memo or whatever we want to call it, we're spearheading the project, they'll reimburse us for the work.
How far up are we going on 30th East?
We will, we're going to go to our city limits, and I believe it's where you come around the corner off 62, right there at the
First
tangent
light?
line. Yeah, at the
The
light.
first
and then
light or the second light?
right off 62, the first light right there.
Not-
Yeah, and then we'll go south. The intersection is ours. We'll go all the way to the intersection at the Public Works Yard.
Okay, that's my
And that,
point.
yeah, okay, and that'll be
So
reconstructed.
everything there north will be redone.
Everything from that point north will be
That's
taken
entry
care
to
of.
see, that's badly needed, yeah,
Yeah,
appreciate that.
so we will, as a city, we'll take that contract, but we'll be bringing back to you an agreement to be reimbursed. So looking for
Is
that in the future.
The triple left gonna stay in place, or is the UDOT project they're doing change that at all?
I don't believe they're changing anything. I haven't seen
that'll
anything that
still-
will change it, no. So, 2300, the roundabout right here outside of your window. We met and have chosen a consultant, and we are in process of negotiating the contract right now. We will hope to have that signed. The contract will be signed with UDOT, I'm guessing by the end of next week or the following week, we'll have that taken care of. This, just so I can get this out in the public as well, this is a city-sponsored project, but it's federal funds, so the oversight is from UDOT, and therefore we have to follow the UDOT process and the federal process on all of this work.
And this engineer is for design.
This is
not-
for design.
It's the
That is
design
correct.
phase, yeah. So
This
and we'll have public meetings to review
We'll-
that design later.
Correct. As we get further and deeper into it, we'll bring some things back for you to review and comment. Okay? And finally, you as a council have also budgeted a stormwater master plan update. We sent out SOQs on that, statement of qualification request. Those have come in. We're in the process of reviewing those. As soon as we're completed with that, I will be bringing a contract back to you to update the stormwater master plan. Now, the master plan is part of the phase where we have been tasked with looking at fees as well as impact fees to the city, and that's what this master plan will let us know, so that also we can start planning for stormwater projects and bringing those budgets to you also. Any questions? I mean, we got a full plate going on this summer and this year, so we're going to be moving forward.
Any questions? No. Thank you. I asked mine
Okay.
during the process. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right. Item 4.2, Chief Mike Watson, our UFA report. Are you feeling depressed? You want to get to do a few of these before you'll be gone?
You know, I will tell you that it's been an interesting process for me, because every time a planned event comes up, it's the last one, and that's been something that I'm not adjusting to very well. So.
Oh, Chief Watson has been at every single Butlerville days, so yeah, 15 of them, I think, yeah.
It's been a pleasure, too. Well, Mr. Mayor and Council, good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to present the report tonight. As a reminder, this is in a quarterly format now. And so let me go back to the first slide. April, May, and June, okay? A couple of things I want to point out to you. I will still be showing you some monthly graphs, so you can look at 12-month comparisons in the whole. But secondly, what I wanted to point to is you can see in this report where stations 110 and 116 fall within the whole UFA footprint. We've done this on a monthly basis previously, but as you'll see, Station 110 is in a suspicious place. I'm fine with where Station 116 is, but historically we're used to seeing Station 110 anywhere from 3rd to 7th position. It's in the 9th position. And although that isn't that far off when it comes to positioning, what is, in my opinion, off is the values for the call volume. There's quite a difference there. Our data person has been working on this for several weeks. He believes the numbers are right. The best thing I can tell you after presenting the reports the way I do, it's not passing the gut check test for me personally. We'll learn as we move through to more quarterly reports how this fleshes out, but I am suspicious of the data, the quarterly data, and the way that came to be for this report. I'll also add that, you know, over time we've changed our queries. We've gone from RMS queries to VEC queries. We've had some issues with VEC and the way they code their calls. Some time ago, Council Member Bruce called out one of the categories and to see if things could be separated out. We haven't had luck with such things, so we are now querying through Zoll, and that could explain part of the difference, but again, it's not explaining the difference with the rest of the stations in this footprint. So the other thing I want to tell you is, what are we doing in the future about our data? And where are we headed? So 2 points. We are presently in the process of interviewing candidates for IT business manager with both a strong portfolio in the IT side of the functions, programming, database experience, but also very heavily qualified in data analytics. We are not where we thought we would be and hope to be by now in analytics, and we're interviewing some candidates who are quite impressive, and I'm excited that we're moving towards that, and we're getting close to having a finalist vetted for that. The next thing to tell you is you've heard me mention Interra before. We started this program through a grant initially, and we are excited that we now know the data that's going into Interra and coming back out of Interra is really solid data. There are some links that we still need to flesh out. I'm hoping we'll have those ready for the next quarterly, but Interra is absolutely designed for fire data and performance measures reporting, and it's going to be really fun because I'm going to stand in front of you with a laptop computer and we'll look at turnout times for our crews in the stations. I could be in the middle of a report and someone may have a question about how many fire calls we had for a certain time on the calendar, and I can put that in and click on that date and it'll pull it up right in front of you, and we can do heat maps and we can do data points, and I'm excited about where we are going to be quite soon. But in the now, we're still dealing with this. So you'll see me smiling when I present through Interra. Right now, not so much. Okay, so we're going to look at Station 110 next in the 12-month comparison. You'll see, again, we're talking about April, May, and June. You can see a pretty suspicious slide in the quantities of the data, in the totals of total calls, medicals, and fires. And for instance, June closed with 93 calls, 64 of those are medicals, 29 were fires. That in itself doesn't strike me as odd, but in the grouping with them being lower and this being a quarterly report, it makes me a bit suspicious.
But yet, when you look at the numbers, it's interesting. When you combine 116 and 110 totals,
Total number of city calls?
then they become more comparable. When you look at City of Holiday, who's equal to our size. So when I saw those numbers, I had the same question you had, because 110 was always at the top 3 or 4. But then when I looked at them combined, it seemed more appropriate. But I appreciate you re-looking at that, and so we can get the accurate
And
numbers.
that's a great observation, Mayor. Also, if you look at by city, if you look at Taylorsville and you add up the totals from 118 and 117 stations, you have over 1,000 calls.
Yeah.
So I'm just
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah. So here's Station 116 in the 12-month. Again, like I said before, when we looked at the total footprint and where our stations fit in those, I don't think 116s are off kilter. Even though the call volume is declining, if you look at the values, I don't see any red flags there. We're below in all 3 categories with the 12-month average, but I don't feel like we have an anomaly here, like I do with 110 station. Here are the ambulance transports, again in a quarterly report form for Station 110. We transported 70 of 82 advanced life support calls, 31 of 96 basic life support calls. So total of 178 calls, we transported 101 of those. The percentage is 56.7, and that's quite high. Total ambulance transports, monthly percentages now, so you can see that comparison. The month end was 51.6, where the quarterly comparison was higher than that. But I'm feeling okay with where we're landing on the percentages month by month for transports. This is Zone 116 now. As a reminder, we don't have an ambulance in that station, but we capture the zone for ambulance transports. It closed at 45.2%. That's down a bit for the month itself, not in the quarterly though. Here are the fire prevention activities. You can read through those at your leisure. One of the things I did want to talk about before considering this report complete, I shared this with Mayor Peterson. I literally think this year's Butlerville Days went as smooth as I've ever seen it. And I generally try to just get a bit of a mindset of how many people are at that venue at different times of day, right? Some of them come in for the carnival and some are there early for the parade. But from the first aid trailer, where we were stationed next to the command post with police, visually it looked like there were a lot of people there, right? What was deceiving to me is when I walked through the carnival area, I was absolutely blown away by how many people really were there. It just visually from where we were, it didn't register, but your turnout numbers were phenomenal. We had a few very minor first aid issues. We did not transport anyone to the hospital, but we had just a ton of parents who came up to the trailer, and our part-time EMTs handed them little badge stickers and plastic fire helmets and things like that. So we had some really good interactions with members of the city and other cities who came up and visited with us. But fabulous job.
You know,
to the city.
I need to add a comment to that. I apologize for interrupting, but I think what I felt too is sitting in a chair and getting ready for the fireworks to go off. A lot of people like to come by and say hi to the mayor, and I had numerous comments of appreciation, and it was about the fact they feel they could come to Butlerville Days and feel safe. They feel they could let their kids kind of wander and have safe experiences and not feel threatened, that they could just have a great time. So I think both with public safety, fire, and police, that presence and that involvement gives that community safe feeling at an event like that is always has the potential in today's world to be less than safe. So I think you hit something right ahead, that with that many people and to be that well run. So compliments to Ann and the staff and everyone once again. Yeah.
That's a great point, and I've shared with a couple of you that I had a chat with one of the firefighters who on that shift was working at Station 110. He's on the swing roster, so doesn't have a bid there and fills in when we have vacancies for vacation or sick days. And this was the third event he had been to in other cities. And he made the comment that it was a very, very comfortable atmosphere, and he didn't feel like he needed to be looking over his shoulder all the time. And so I think that's a huge statement for your city.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, any further questions of Mike before he leaves? Yeah. Hearing none, you can.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. All right, that is our standing quarterly reports. We now have, looks like 8 or 10 action items that we'll move through. The first item is consideration of ordinance 329, approving a general plan amendment for real property located at 7683 Bengal Bend Cove, from neighborhood commercial to residential low density, that we took public comment on. Any further question on that?
No, I appreciate the applicant being here and the comments from the neighbors. And I would move that we approve ordinance 329-A.
It's been moved by Councilmember Bracken. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Bruce. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. Councilmember Bracken.
Yes.
Councilmember Bruce.
Yes.
And I will vote yes. Okay, now make sure I get. And with approval of ordinance 329A, we will not entertain 329D and move to consideration of ordinance 330A, approving the rezone of the real property located at the same address from residential office to residential 1-8, residential single family, and amending the zoning map. Any further discussion on this proposed ordinance?
Shane, this takes effect immediately, correct? I'd move that we approve ordinance 330-A.
It's been moved by Councilmember Bracken. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Bruce. Any further discussion? Here now, I'll call for the vote. Councilmember Bruce,
Yes.
Councilmember Bracken,
Yes.
and I will vote yes. The next item is 5.3, is considered for resolution 2019-30 approving entry into interlocal agreement with Central Wasatch Commission. This is an item where, through our budget process, we took public comment on. It's a contribution to Central Wasatch Commission where we are one of 10 members representing, I think, 9 different entities that advises everything from canyon transportation to secondary trail access to trail improvements to proposed legislation for federal jurisdiction to help maintain our canyons, a whole myriad of things, and we'll be discussing that more in detail going forward. Members of that commission include UDOT, Salt Lake County, Salt Lake City, Alta, Sandy, East Mill Creek, Holiday, Cottonwood Heights, Park City, and Summit County. It allows us to have a seat at the table because we are centrally located between the two canyons. They impact us. So with that, I would entertain a motion for consideration of resolution 2019-38 improving entry into the interlocal agreement with the Central Wasatch Commission.
Real quick, Mayor, I just wanted to say
Please.
thank you. Mayor Peterson's going to have Ralph Becker come out and address us in the near future and give us updates because the CWC is a very fluid, evolving entity. And we also made a commitment tonight as a city that if funding for this carries on into next year.
It's year to year, yes.
Yeah, we'll take public comment and have some meetings so the public can be really well informed on this.
Agreed. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion.
Move that we approve resolution 2019-38.
It's been moved by Councilmember Bracken. Do I have a second?
Second.
Been seconded by Councilmember Bruce. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. Councilmember Bracken,
Yes.
Councilmember Bruce,
Yes.
and I will vote yes. The next item is consideration of resolution 2019-39, approving an interlocal agreement with the city of Holiday and the city of Mill Creek for sustainability services. Hopefully the audience is aware that we've taken a position to work towards a more sustainable environment within our city and for the city. And we will be collaborating with Holiday and Mill Creek to formulate some of those efforts. And also, and one of our new employees has a percentage of that job description, including that as well. But this resolution has Holiday and Mill Creek supporting some of the funding of that position.
And she starts on Monday.
And she starts Monday, yeah. Any further discussion on this resolution?
I'm just really excited to see this coming to fruition. We've been wanting a sustainability person, and we'll continue to work towards having a sustainability committee as well.
Okay.
I move that we pass resolution 2019-39.
It's been moved by Councilmember Bruce. They misspelled your name on here, I just noticed.
Second.
Been moved by Councilmember Bruce, seconded by Councilmember Bracken. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. Councilmember Bruce,
Yes.
Councilmember Bracken,
Yes.
and I will vote yes. The next item is Resolution 2019-41, accepting a bid and approving entry into a construction contract for the Mountain
Dash
View.
40.
Go back one.
Whoa, I marked off
Don't
too
miss
quickly.
that one, please.
Yeah, well, we'll go back one. Thank you. That's why I have him sitting here next to me. 2019-40, it's the interlocal agreement with Canyon School District for school resource officer services. The school district's contract with us, they participate in a percentage of the funding, and over time, as those expenses have increased, the agreement has stayed the same. This increases their contribution to the school resource officers, and everyone knows that with what's happening across the country, how vital it is that we have those resource officers in our schools. So we appreciate Canyon School District participating in that endeavor. Any questions on Resolution 2019-40?
Mayor, can I just make a comment?
Please.
Just appreciate the relationship we have with the Canyon School District. They work with us. They are a great partner and do a lot of great things for the community. And it was good to work with them on this process of this interlocal. So I just want to make that comment.
Yeah, well stated. Well stated.
And after 10 years, this probably brings it up to where it probably should be, which is much appreciated.
Yep. No.
I'd move that we approve Resolution 2019-40.
It's moved by Councilmember Bracken. Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been seconded by Councilmember Bruce. Any further discussion?
Thank you, Tim.
Yep.
Thanks for getting it done.
All right, call for the vote. Councilmember Bracken,
Yes.
Councilmember Bruce,
Yes.
and I will vote yes. Now, Resolution 2019-41. This is the bid for a construction contract for Mountain View Park. We have a track grant that provides funding with a small match to make some improvements to that park. We've had requests for years about adding additional shade. This is for a small pavilion on the south end near the splash pad. And the amount's $132,000. Any further discussion on this contract for that pavilion shade structure? Hearing none, I'd call for a motion, please.
I move that we pass Resolution 2019-41.
Second.
Been moved by Councilmember Bruce, seconded by Councilmember Bracken. Any further discussion, questions? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. Councilmember Bruce,
Yes.
Councilmember Bracken,
Yes.
and I will vote yes. Next item is 5.7, is Resolution 2019-41, declaring certain property surplus. Tim, you just want to talk about that real quickly? I might mess it up.
Yes, this is a surplus of some of the stage set for the last play that we had, The Little Mermaid. We had Kearns High School approach us because they are putting on the same production at the high school and wanted to be able to acquire some of the set pieces. So we evaluated it with Arts Council members and others to come to a conclusion on the pricing, and it's a little over $730 that we've priced it at. And so we're recommending approval of the surplusing of this. It's a great thing. We won't have to store it. Plus, it recycles it for that purpose rather than just disassemble it. And our Finance and Administrative Services Director has reviewed this as well and recommends approval. Scott
Okay.
Jurgis.
Thank you. Any further discussion on this issue? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion.
I move that we pass Resolution 2019-42.
It's been moved by Councilmember Bruce. Do we have a second? Second by Councilmember Bracken. Further discussion? Now I call for the vote. Councilmember Bracken,
Yes.
Councilmember Bruce,
Yes.
and I will vote yes. All right, just a couple more. Next item is 5.8, consideration resolution of 2019-43, approving appointment to our Parks, Trails, and Open Space Committee. I think it's just about a year ago, we created a Parks, Trails, and Open Space Committee, and has 15 members. We have an opening, and Tim, is the individual's not here tonight, is he? Okay, do you want to introduce who he is for the audience?
Excuse me. His name is Michael Minson. His occupation is an attorney. He has a great background and passion in wanting to facilitate parks, trails, and open space projects in the community. He's wanted to serve on this for quite some time, and he's looking forward to it if it's approved tonight. And He will be part of District 1, I believe, and we needed someone from that district. So this is a good selection. We're excited to have him on board.
Great fit, great fit. Okay, any questions on that proposed appointment? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion for Resolution 43.
I move that we pass Resolution 2019-43.
It's been moved by Councilmember Bruce, seconded by Councilmember Bracken. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. Councilmember Bracken.
Yes.
Councilmember Bruce.
Yes.
And I will vote yes. And we'll let him know, and I'm sure he'll be welcomed. It's a great committee, doing a lot of great work. The next item is 5.9, consideration of Resolution 2019-44, approving interlocal agreement with Canyon School District for busing services. This is where we are supporting the Big Cottonwood Canyon Marathon by contracting with Canyon School District to provide, I think it's 30 buses, and then the city will be reimbursed 100% by the marathon for those expenses. Tim, any additional comments on that resolution?
No, not at this
Okay.
point.
All right. Any discussion from the council? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion for approval.
Move to approve Resolution 2019-44.
It's been moved by Councilmember Bracken. Do we have a second? Second by Councilmember Bruce. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. Councilmember Bruce,
Yes.
Councilmember Bracken,
Yes.
and I will vote yes. The last action item is Resolution 2019-45, referring to the same agreement where Big Cottonwood Canyon Marathon will reimburse the city indemnification costs for, well, it's for staffing, for public safety, for the indemnification, insurance costs, and everything else that the city expenses related to that marathon.
I move that we approve Resolution 2019-45.
It's been moved by Councilmember Bruce,
Second.
second by Councilmember Bracken. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. Councilmember Bracken,
Yes.
Councilmember Bruce,
Yes.
and I will vote yes. Okay, that's all of our business items. The only item we have is approval of the City Council work session business meeting minutes of July 2nd, 2019. Make that motion.
I've made a couple of small changes on there. Paul had got those back to me. They were just some
So those,
very minor, but I move that we approve the consent calendar.
it's been moved by Councilmember Bracken. Do you have a second?
Second.
It's been moved second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, it's unanimous, it's favor. Now entertaining a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
It's been moved, we adjourn.
I will second.
Second,
Make a snarky
all in favor, aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for your patience. A lot of business.